Alright, as requested, today I will give you a short introductory guide on the 40 ping mage that I played the other day on stream. Give you a little bit of an overview of how to mulligan the deck, how to play the deck if you're completely new to it, and give you like some short tips and tricks as always for how to improve your gameplay if you haven't already seen those few things on stream. And always, this is like a good refresher to go back to the basics if you're not really sure about some of the things in the mulligan in this deck. Alright, let's just jump right in the mulligan. The cards that we always keep, of course, are here the 1-drops, the Shivering Sorceress, the Alchemist, and the Wildfire. Those are all good 1-drops. And if you're playing against more aggressive decks, the Amplified Snowflare is also a pretty good card, which will keep us pretty aggressive in the game. And it will just help us a lot, especially against decks like Hunter or Demon Hunter, to be able to be on board early and push some damage. I just like keeping this card in general because compared to other 40 ping mages, this version with a Frozen Touch is a little bit more aggressive. So we want to be pushing more damage, but more about that a little bit in the gameplay guide. Then other cards I like to keep are the Nightcloak Sanctum and the Frostwolf Dungeoneer. They both give you very good early board and let you pressure your opponent. Sometimes I see that people are very tempted to be able to keep 4-drops. I don't really believe in keeping 4-drops with this deck. If possible, I would just like to keep more 3-drops and then curve into the 4-drops. Because there's so many 4-drops in this deck. You have this Teacher, you have the Reckless, you have the Cold Cases, you have the Okani. You usually should be able to draw one of those by the time that you get to 4 mana. So this is a very rigid mulligan guide of what to always keep. Of course, if we're playing against slower decks or against any deck kind of that doesn't immediately pressure us, which is like not specifically Warlock and Demon Hunter, even in the Mage Mirror, Arcane Intellect is very good. It just helps you get through your deck very fast, and otherwise you're going to just run low on cards. Also, keeping this card in the mulligan along with Wildfire makes it more likely that the Frostweave Dungeoneer gets you 2 cards. So especially on coin, like a card like AI or Frostweave plus AI is a very good keep together. Alright, let's get... Then of course we have the Magister Dawngrasp, which I think is like an auto keep in pretty much every single matchup. The only matchup where I maybe wouldn't keep it immediately is against Warlock, because against Warlock you want to be able to contest the board very, very early and be able to pressure your opponent back, so the Magister isn't very good. But pretty much every other matchup, even Hunter, this is a very useful card, especially in the mirror. This will be a very useful card since it will let you push out a lot more damage over time, clear your opponent's board easily, and rack up some threats while also having an amazing battle cry with all those cards. Especially like a Frostspell and AI together will be very useful. Alright, moving on to mulligan tips and tricks here a little bit. So other than the mulligan I already covered, I want to cover more specific tips and tricks. First of all, I have Commander Sivara down here at 4 mana. Is a good keep pretty much all the time if you have anything decent already. Like if you already have like a 1-drop on coin. Like if you're on coin and you get the coin back with Sivara, this is essentially a 4 mana 3/5 that gives you 2 spells. Also on coin, you're way more likely to have like a good hand together. I would never keep this card on the play. Then, if you already have the Shivering Sorceress, you can also keep Cold Case as your expensive card. Like I said, I don't believe in keeping 4-drops, but if this card can come down as a 3-drop, it's very effective and does a lot of pressure early. So I think this card is quite good in this situation. And then if you already have a Shivering Sorceress and you're playing against Mage specifically, this is very matchup specific. Deathborn is a very good keep because it'll allow you to be able to take over the board early. And usually both of you will be playing with a lot of skeletons and 1 or 2 HP minions, and Deathborn will get a lot of value. And the first one to play Deathborn usually gets to push a lot more damage than their opponent. So I think keeping the Deathborn is pretty nice. If I was Sorceress and I'd be on coin, I would also keep Deathborn against Hunter, for example. That's like one of the additional things that's nice that you can kind of see in the mulligan. Pretty much all of the other cards I would never Keep in mind Mulligan, unless maybe like Okani can be fine against something like Boar Priest, but that's super specific, so I don't really think that's worth Mulligan for. Alright, quickly already to gameplay tricks. One of the most important and complicated cards in this deck to play here, of course, is Sir Finley. Sir Finley is kind of hard to place, but I like playing this game for the Finley for improving your hand. Like if you have a bunch of, you don't have a good play and you want to be improving your hand, and you already maybe don't already have like your hero in hand, playing Finley aggressively can be a very nice thing to do. Just try improving your hand. Other than that, in late game scenarios, you often want to stall with like your game plan is play early minions, push early damage, and then weave in some frozen touches because you have a lot of early minions. You try to push a lot of face damage against most decks, unless you're playing against, I don't know, like I said, aggro druid or warlock or hunter, where you're a little bit more passive. Most of the time, you're being the more aggressive deck, so you want to be pushing damage because when you have like kind of fizzled out on board and you stop pushing a lot of damage, you can then go frozen touch in to the face if it's already infused, and then solid alibi to stall. And then you can use your Finley to like kind of get the second alibi or ramp up your hero power with apprentice, and then alibi apprentice, for example, to ramp up your hero power and set up for like a really strong Mordresh turn. You can also stall with Blizzard for a Mordresh turn, like just being able to freeze your opponent. Something that I would definitely recommend with this deck, and that you'll see in a lot of the VODs of stuff that I played on stream, is I like to use Flurry very aggressively. Like just on turn 5, freezing 2 minions and going face, just to be able to set up a better Deathborn and being able to push more face damage. So I have to use less frozen touches later in the game. It's quite useful. You'll run out of cards eventually against most of the decks that the opponents are playing because you don't run that much card draw and you run a bunch of cheap cards. So you want to be able to kill your opponent. Yeah, and that's already it. I think this is like the essentials of this deck, how to play it, how to mulligan it. Hope you like it. As always, if leave a comment for what you would like to see as the next kind of guide on the channel. And if you like the content, let me know. Also, you always find more stuff in my VODs on Twitch. I'll link the description below. I hope you enjoyed this one.